John, you and I saw the Ukrainian hryvnia go out to new record weakness. I mean, essentially, it's a bankrupt Ukraine, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, Tom, and we need to talk about that because we've been knee-deep in foreign policy and troop movements. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian currency has been hammered and the economy in Ukraine is getting absolutely crushed. And this year sets us up for quite a difficult discussion between Ukraine and their creditors, and one of their big creditors is Russia. There's a $3 billion bailout bond, and in that bond there's a clause. If Ukrainian debt crosses 60% debt to GDP, Russia can recall that debt early. Does Ukraine have the ability to pay that? We've talked a lot about clashes between troops. It's really heating up when it comes to the economics.
John, with all the sources that you have, is a ceasefire over?
It seems that way. I look at the Bloomberg terminal as often you do. I look at the headlines coming through. A lot of people talk about the ceasefire still holding, but on this particular hub, this transport hub, that's where it's being broken. But for most of the front line, it looks like it's holding. What I will say is I spoke to the Ukrainian finance minister last week. She said it's still happening. The illegal occupation of Crimea, as she called it, that is still a difficulty for them. And she said the war at the moment is making it very, very difficult for her to collect data and really get a read on how bad this economy is. So, yes, things are dying down a little bit, but by any stretch of the imagination, you cannot say the economics of this is over.
John, I also want to ask you here about Greece. It looks like Alexis Tsipras, the Prime Minister of Greece, did actually blink in this sort of showdown with the Germans. What's next?
Look, I'm going to take big issue with anyone that says Greece has blinked because, A, they haven't actually voiced in official writing to go forward and ask for this extension, and 2, I would really contest the point that this is all about words. Greece still wants the rest of Europe to ease up on those demands to run a primary budget surplus of 4.5%. Greece still wants Europe to end demands for austerity. Greece wants Europe to admit that austerity has failed and this programme has not been a success, that it's caused a humanitarian crisis. Those 3 issues are nowhere near being resolved, and if you listen to Alexis Tsipras, that is not a man that is blinking right now.
John Ferro, thank you so much in London.